Welcome to the Asian Supermarket. I'm your host Christina from America.
And I'm Carmen from Australia. This week we'll be giving an introduction to the podcast, how it came about, as well as some background information about ourselves and the topics that we'll be discussing during our weekly episodes.
So grab your favorite snack and let's chill together as we dive into episode 1 today. Hey everyone, welcome to the Asian Supermarket podcast. We're host Christina from America and
I'm Carmen from Australia.
Just a little fun fact about us. What's your favorite cuisine?
I'm vegetarian, so I like anything with vegetables. Whatever healthy, that's my jam. What about you?
Well, I love Japanese food. And speaking of which, I feel like this is a pretty cool fun fact I just learned recently. Did you know the puffer fish is the most dangerous sashimi fish out there? And if a chef had a knife and touched it, it could potentially kill their customer.
I heard that people have to sign waivers for that before they eat it, in case they die.
No, this is our first episode. It'd be cool for our viewers to kind of get a feel about why we created our podcast, our name, our brand. Do you kind of want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so how we came up, well, we were thinking about starting a podcast for a while, and then we were looking at names, and we just couldn't come up with anything for a few days. So then I was like, why don't we just, check out a name generator? And then I plugged in our keywords into a name generator. It was like we wanted to be our Asian culture and stuff, and it came up with Asian supermarket. And at the start, it was like, no, we're not gonna name it Asian supermarket. That's ridiculous. But then after a while, we were like, well, actually, it's kind of quirky and kind of cool. So we decided to go with it. And I thought that, we could relate it back to our podcast as well, because we love supermarkets. And then, inside the Asian supermarket, there's like so many different sections, so many different foods from different cultures. And I thought, it'd be cool to have that kind of concept as well with our podcast, because we want to bring in a few different guests from around the world, kind of like a supermarket, mixing up the varieties.
Yeah. I felt like same thing as what we were talking about earlier. It's really cool how we have all these unique friends from all over the world to share things that normal people experience, but instead in different parts of the world. And then what we can all relate to is we have some sort of Asian background. And then there's something that ties all of us together. And another interesting thing we thought that would be really cool is we have some friends that are like Westerners, but they have a passion for Asian culture. So it's cool to get other unique perspectives that are different from people from, having an Asian background, and then just shedding a light on all these mysterious curiosities we have. And, people from very unique parts like South America, from Canada, Europe, people that are actually born from Asia themselves, and then how they grew up. Our similarities, our differences, our unique individuality.
Putting exposure to different kinds of cultures, maybe our different ideologies and our different views on things. So we go into like how we met, how we became friends. Yeah, it's a very interesting story. Back in 2014, both of us, we actually met when we were on student exchange in Korea and Seoul.
I remember I was searching for a dance crew, and then I encountered a group. You happened to be in that group, and you stood out because you were wearing a jean jacket that time. I remember it from first episode. Yeah, jean jacket, and then I was like, oh, who's this cool girl, And then you just came out of the group and you're like, oh, I'll go help you find that group. So we went, floor to floor to find that crew, and we kind of just clicked from there. And then we just went on all these soul adventures. So we called ourselves Soulmate, and we just stayed in touch.
After Seoul, after Korea, I think we didn't see each other for a while. And then one time you came to Singapore when I was in Singapore. Yeah. And we met up there, and then a little bit after that, I went with you to Canada. Yeah. Went to your hood, San Francisco, Bay Area. It was so sick. Yeah, so we've just been in touch, and we've been good friends since Korea, 2014. It's been a few years.
Since we're in different parts of the world right now, sharing some of our similarities and differences growing up.
So for me, I was actually born in Singapore. I'm a Chinese. I was born in Singapore. My mom's from Malaysia. My dad's from Singapore. And when I was 8 years old, I migrated over to Australia with my family. So I've been living here ever since. And yeah, when I moved over here, I actually moved to like a pretty rural area, kind of like pretty far from the city. I was about an hour away from Brisbane. It's called the Sunshine Coast. And when I moved over here, there was like hardly any Asian people. I was like basically the only Asian person. So when I was growing up, it was like it was a cycle of like, oh, I really don't want to be Asian. I wish I was white. Like, why am I so different? It took me a while to finally get out of that. When I went to university,
Mhm,
I actually made a lot more Asian friends.
mhm,
I don't know, for some reason, I just gravitated more towards Asian people. And then since I went to Korea, came back, hung out with my grandparents more, I was like, well, actually, being Asian is really cool. And
yeah,
when I was young, I didn't want to speak the language or anything. So I pretty much completely forgot
mhm,
basically any second language that I knew. But
yeah,
then after I started hanging out with everyone, I was like, oh, actually, it's really cool to know a second language. So then from there, I made like a huge effort to pick up Mandarin better.
mhm.
Right now, I'm learning Cantonese. And when I was in Korea, I picked up some Korean as well. So I was like, yeah, actually, it's really great to know different languages and to, fall more in love with my culture.
Yeah.
You, I know you grew up in like a very Asian heavy area. When I went to visit, it was hella cool.
Like, it's funny because it's like I'm in America, but I feel like I live in Asia in this way.
Yeah.
In my area, I also live in the suburbs. So I live in the East Bay area of the Bay Area. The high school I went to was, I would say, like it felt like 90% Asian. So I guess for me, it's different from you because I was kind of forced upon the culture, right? Being in the classes I took, we had, like AP honors classes. You guys have that, right? There too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Similar.
same thing, extracurriculars. I was in like, badminton, those kind of things. So the people you're around, I guess, were primarily Asian people. So I never grew up hating my culture in a way, but definitely I can relate to you where if people ask what kind of music I listen to, I was like, oh, I listen to, like the mainstream pop American music, Chinese
But
music.
did you actually though, or did you inside were you just like faking it? Like, no, I actually listen
Okay,
to like 100%
let's
Chinese
not
music.
say faking it. It's more called we were trying to fit in, right? Like when we're young, we want to be cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
totally feel
I
it.
listen to Chinese music, but I wouldn't openly be vocal about it. Even
Yeah.
like for my background, like my career background, my family, we have a dance studio primarily focused in Chinese dance, right? So even when I was young, I didn't want people to know that I did Chinese dance. It's really dumb to think about it. Like, why would I be ashamed of, showcasing my performing arts field, right? Like it's equal as any other like contemporary hip hop. But I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, like just like before, there's not much exposure, there's not much appreciation for
Yeah.
Asian culture. So people, I guess in our minds, we think they'll make fun of us, right? Or think we're uncool. But
Yeah.
as I grew up, I came to more of appreciation of it. And same thing like with my job, I'm handling it full time now, right? And I'm trying to bring in East meets West dance fusion style because I feel like with the American side, we have this mainstream platform through competitions, TV, newspaper. So people are like, oh, dance, but then they see Chinese
Yeah.
dance fused into it. So they're like, oh, it's not just a traditional lion dance or whatever. These dances are really cool. They have like tricks and unique stories. So I feel like as we age, we kind of, think outside the box, and then we are appreciative of connecting back to our roots. Like you were saying, we're able to speak
Yeah.
with our relatives abroad, and even for finding jobs, I think it's a perk for you guys, right? Like they're like, oh, you can speak two languages kind of thing. It's not just one, bilingual, trilingual.
Yeah.
When we're younger, I guess we're more ashamed of it, you can say.
Yeah.
As we grow older, there's an appreciation.
It's just like as you get older, you kind of just realize like, why do I even care like what other people think? Like this is how I am, this is my culture. Like no matter what I do, I can't change it.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you have more exposure, you meet more people, and then you start to see like the beauty in things, I guess. Even for me, like for my job,
Yeah.
do a lot of work in Asia. So my family, me and my mom, we run an online business, and we make children's educational products. So I do a lot of designing and stuff, communicating with customers and suppliers, things like that. And our products are made in Asia. And for our newest product, actually, it's made in Malaysia.
Mhm.
And we're employing a lot of refugee women who have like escaped from Iran and Afghanistan, and who are like basically waiting in Malaysia for a refugee visa so they can work.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're just giving them some jobs to help,
Yeah.
help them be able to survive, because I don't think they can like legally work
Yeah.
So we want to give them a hand, help them support their families,
Mhm.
and they're just helping us make products there. So yeah, we really love doing business, both of us, and that's another point that we really clicked on. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're both really like-minded in that sense.
It's cool. Like we can say we're entrepreneurs and also we're doing something that's educational and something that's for multiculturalism. My career earlier I was talking about is mainly what I do is performing arts management, focus on East meets West dance fusion styles. And then I just try to find the beauty of unity through diversity. How about we talk about traveling for a sec? How often do you travel in a year? I'm curious.
Well, before the pandemic hit, we were traveling. We were going actually last year I was between Malaysia and Singapore for like 3 months, 3 or 4 months,
Uh-huh.
because we were getting things made there. And before that, I would travel a lot because in my family, my mom places a really big emphasis on traveling. So basically, like every year we would go overseas somewhere. But especially when we started this line of work, we started traveling a lot more, especially to like China, Malaysia, places like that. Family has been to a lot of countries, and I'm like so fortunate to be able to say that. And yeah, it's just like such a blessing to be able to have went on exchange, met so many people, and I have a lot of friends in Asia as well. And I love going to all different countries. What
Yeah.
about you?
Me? Yeah, I
Travel quite
would
a lot
say
too.
I travel nationally, internationally about 2 to 3 times a year. And then it's usually for dance competitions, for work, and then for, visiting people, visiting friends, right? Like we both love traveling and therefore we were able to meet so many unique friends from around the world. We really came upon wanting to create this podcast and what we really felt that we wanted to give off for our viewers. Felt like during this pandemic time, this would be a really unique experience for us to just have, casual conversations, right? Catching up with our friends globally and then sharing their unique perspectives and just finding the beauty of appreciation for all cultures and letting people understand more of how Asians grew up, how they grew up in different parts of the world, how, differentiate
Yeah,
and how we're unique.
different country, besides not being in an Asian country,
Yeah.
how we can like embrace ourselves and have the best of both worlds, I guess.
Yeah, it's really cool and awesome because we get to talk about lifestyle topics, right? So, throughout our next episodes, we'll be talking about dating life, mental health, different generations, unique careers we have, food, just anything, right? Just casual lifestyle
Yeah.
conversations. And then during the pandemic, some of our friends are in quarantine right now. So I think it'd be interesting kind of learning about quarantine life throughout the world, and we're kind of living vicariously throughout everyone's unique stories. Yeah.
Yeah, especially since we can't travel, so we kind of have to. So it'll be a good experience to go and live vicariously through our friends in other countries as
And
well.
we're really excited for the launch of our episode 2. We're going to be having a guest, which is a close friend of ours. She was born in Russia. She moved to America. She works in the aviation industry. So she's currently actually in quarantine in Korea. Lived in different parts of Asia for a while. So I think it'd be really interesting getting another perspective from a, Westerner, how their life is like living in Asian countries, if they're treated differently, pros and cons of it. So I'm really excited for our next episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I can't wait to see where this podcast goes.
Thank you guys so much today for tuning
Yeah,
in.
tune in next week and we'll see you back at the Asian supermarket.